What's up, guys? Today I'm going to teach you 5 stretches that you can use to get your splits. Now, these stretches can be used to get your left, your right, or your middle splits. And if you don't want to get your splits done, these stretches can be used just to feel really good on sore muscles and to help you get loosey and goosey. Now, before getting into splits and before getting into these stretches, do know that it takes time, patience, persistence, and practice in order to really fully get your splits down. And that's because muscles, you don't want to force them into trying to be stretchy. They don't work like that. You have to let them ease in to being loosey and goosey, and that is where the time, patience, practice, and persistence comes in. So be kind to yourself. Don't force yourself. Make sure you're feeling good throughout the whole process, and you'll enjoy it a lot more. Now, let's get into these 5 stretches. I do these stretches all the time. I am a former gymnast. I was a gymnast for 4 years, and I think even after being a gymnast, I just loved being flexible, being stretchy. I think it helps me in my day-to-day activities, my life. I'm very active, very on the go, and sometimes I do wild things that, require some balance, mobility, agility, and all of that good stuff. So this is where flexibility, getting your splits, being flexible, stretching really comes into play and comes in handy for me. That's why I want to share it with you. So the first stretch we're going to get into is a lunge pose. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take one leg, right or the left, place it at the front of your mat. Make sure that your knees are not over your toes. Make sure that they are behind your toes, okay? You're gonna take your knee about, a little far back, not too far, not super wide. But what we're gonna do is once you feel comfortable and sturdy, we're going to elongate our back and we're gonna push our hips forward. And that's gonna help to really get this front quad stretch, the groin, everything like that. And again, making sure that you're not tilting too far over that front toe with that knee. Hi, Sky. Staying in control, but pushing those hips forward. You can even arch your back a little bit. Wow, I'm looking up and the sky is incredible. Take some deep breaths within it. It feels really good. All right, now our second stretch, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull that hip back, straighten that leg that was down, and we're going to make sure that we keep our legs straight, keep our back straight, and we're going to tip over, tilting at your hips, keeping your neck straight, looking out in front of you, not tilting your head down, not crunching your body over, nothing like that. Really elongating your spine, your neck. You can even flex that foot in front of you. Say hi to your toes. And making sure not to dip too far back in your hip or your bum. You can to get a little bit of a deeper stretch, but really stay on top of your leg, on top of your hips, really equal in your hips. Hi, Sky. All right, now we're gonna go back into that first pose. So right now we're just doing the first 2 stretches, and we're gonna start on our left leg. And going back and forth in between these 2 poses, for me at least, really helps to kind of, it gives like oil to my muscles and body. It really loosens them up, just toggling back and forth between those 2 positions. And as you start to go back and forth, making sure you're keeping the same posture, once you get into this first position, you can kind of open your leg out to the left a little bit, trying to widen and open this area, this groin space right here. And back. Now just stay here for a little bit. Breathing in deep. Exhaling. Now we're gonna let that left leg, or whichever leg was being stretched out, we're gonna let it shake out, and we're gonna move on to the next leg. And Sky, you're gonna have to move, my love. Move, my love, thank you. I appreciate it. Here. All right, now we're gonna get onto that other leg. Sky, take your stick somewhere else, please. So again, making sure your knee is not all the way over your toes, making sure it's behind your toes, your hips are equal, making sure your knee is planted on the ground. We're gonna elongate our back, and we're gonna push our hips forward. Again, you can look up. Say hi to the sky or your ceiling. Greet the objects around you. All right, we're gonna start to head back into our second stretch, which is pushing our hips back, tilting over, keeping our spine long, straight, our neck straight. Breathing deep, and this is really targeting your hamstring. You should really feel this stretch deep in your hamstring and maybe your calf. If you decide to make the stretch a little bit deeper, you might be feeling it in your hip and in your bum. You can even flex that foot towards you, and that will deepen the stretch as well for the back of your calf and for your foot. Making sure you're not tilting to one side. I just realized I was doing that. Keeping your hips straight, equal. And we're gonna fall back into that first stretch, getting our hip nice and open. Again, if you want, you can open that right leg just a little bit, trying to open this space. Do whatever feels good. Going back into that stretch, that second stretch. And of course, you can do what feels good to you. If arching your back or rounding your back is needed in some different positions than I've suggested, you can definitely do so. But try and maintain correct posture for the positions, as it's going to give you the best stretch. All right, get back into that lunge. Breathe through it. We're going to come into our third stretch. That third stretch is going to be pigeon pose, I believe it is called. We're going to take our outside foot, put it at the edge of our mat, take our knee. We're going to basically collapse our knee towards the opposite side of our mat. Ooh. What we're going to try and make sure we do is fold over on top of our hip that is on the ground. We want this part to somewhat be touching it, not all the way. But what we're gonna do, because my body has the tendency to just lean to one side, but we're trying to get the stretch in the outer right hip, or whichever leg is on the floor, and the groin. So we're gonna take our hands, and with a flexed foot, and leg is parallel to the mat, it's not down here or anything like that. We're gonna make sure it's scooted up parallel. We're going to take our hands, and we're going to kind of lift our body up and tilt it over, trying to really lean over to that opposite hip and use your hands as traction, as kind of your base to keep yourself in the stretch. Straighten your back. Breathe into it. It feels really good. All right, now we're going to let that pose go. We're going to put our feet out in front of us, jiggle them around. Maybe go back and forth with your legs just like this. If you start to feel any tingling, go ahead and you can come out of the pose. You don't want to make your legs numb. as again, it's progression. Practice of the same pose allows you to get a deeper stretch more often of the time, faster. And you might not feel that tingling sensation as often anymore. But everybody is different, and that's a good thing. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and move on to that same pigeon pose, but we're gonna do it on the opposite leg. All right, we're gonna take that foot, put the edge of the foot at the toe edge of the mat. We're going to make our leg parallel to the mat right here, keeping our hips rotated to be on top and parallel versus tilted to the left like this. We want them to be on top. So utilizing your arms, pushing in whichever way is needed in order to really deepen that stretch. Feels so good to stretch out the legs. So stretching out your legs in these ways, in these stretches, is really going to help to maximize your ability to get into a split. And I will show you after we finish these stretches exactly how that is. Take one more deep breath and exhale. Go ahead and come out of the pose. Jiggle the legs out. Let them go side to side. We're going to come into butterfly pose. Now, go ahead, sit up straight. You can have your feet both together, making sure your hips are in a comfortable position. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep our back straight, and we're going to fold ourselves over. We're going to try and keep our neck straight, posture straight, not trying to hunch over too much. Really trying to get the back side of our butt and our hips, trying to stretch that part out. What I'm doing right now is I'm just taking my feet, I'm utilizing the strength of my arms to deepen my stretch in my hips by straightening my back and by pulling my hips towards me with my hands. All right, the next stretch we're gonna do is we're gonna come up on our feet. We're going to take one foot out, almost like we're doing a middle bend over, but we're going to bend one knee, keeping our heel and foot in contact with the mat, lengthening our back, keeping our legs straight. What I'm going to do, what I want you to do, is I want you to take your arm that is closest to your right leg or left leg, whichever leg is out and being stretched. You're going to push that arm into that leg, deepening the stretch, and you can even tilt that arm around you, come back if you want. But for those who can't wrap their arm around, you can just stay in this position. Just making sure that you're trying to stay as upright as possible while keeping your foot flat on the ground, keeping this leg straight. And you're really targeting your groin, getting that groin a nice stretch. Now we're going to move over to our other foot. We're going to make sure again that, Sky, I'm sorry, I got to show correct position. Making sure that your foot is flat in contact with the ground, keeping your back as straight as possible, keeping that opposite leg as flexed and straight out, as straight as possible. Again, if you can, take your arm that is closest to your leg that is being stretched And you're going to push into that hip. I'm sorry, into that leg. Really getting that good groin stretch right here. Again, if you can wrap your arm around, you can do so. But if you do so, be gentle with your shoulders and really try and open your chest to the sky. All right, now all of these stretches are great for being able to accomplish your middle splits, your left and right splits, and that's because all of these stretches help to loosen up your quads, your hamstrings, your groin, and your hips, and a lot of the back lower leg muscles as well. And that's super important when you're trying to get into splits, because you need that flexibility in those specific areas in order to get into the position. So if you are brand new to splits, the way that you can start to get into your middle splits is first doing those stretches on a day-to-day basis, but also when you're starting to try and lean forward, go ahead, put your legs out in front of you, take them out as far as you can. Doesn't need to be crazy wide or anything like that. Start with what's comfortable. You're going to elongate your back, make sure that your feet are flexed, trying to keep your knees straight up, toes to the sky. And you're gonna crawl forward. And you're gonna keep crawling and crawling until you finally, and I'll back up so I can show you. Excuse me, Sky. But you keep crawling and crawling down until officially you got the middle splits. Now, I remember in gymnastics, I would have my coaches come to me, and as we were in the middle splits, bent over like this, they would come and they would put your foot on your back to lower you down and to lower your hips down to get into that stretch. I don't necessarily advise for anyone to do that. However, if you have a friend or sibling or partner, someone who you know is safe and going to not injure you, they can assist in pushing your hips down just a little bit, helping you to deepen that stretch. You can also use blocks that are for like yoga blocks. You can put them on either side of your legs, and you can eventually lift your legs up onto there and deepen that middle stretch. Now, for the left and right splits, I'll just show you really quick. Again, the first two stretches are essential for when we were doing the left and right splits, and that's because you start like this. At least this is how I start to get into my split. And this is, our first stretches down here. Second stretches like this. And then I'm gonna bring my toes all the way to the front of my mat. And if you're a beginner, this is what you do as well. You're gonna bring your toes to the front of the mat. And then you're going to basically walk slowly your back leg back until you reach the floor. And one thing you want to make sure that you do is you want to make sure that that hip is rotated so that your knee is basically directly in contact with the mat. And same with your quad. You don't want to be rolled like this or splayed out like this. You want to make sure that everything is rolled underneath, that you're sitting on top of yourself versus sitting to the side. You basically want to try and sit on this hip. So you can even lengthen. You can practice staying in this kind of pose. You can go down. I like to kind of stretch it out a little bit. And that's just a stretch for me. I'll show you really quick. Same goes for the opposite leg. For getting into that split on the other side, for beginners, again, what you're gonna do, if anything, start on your knees like this. All right, start on your knees. You're going to take one leg out in front of you. You're going to pull with your toes, and you're gonna climb your foot up all the way to the front of your mat. You're gonna use your hands and your arms as your support. And you're going to inchworm that leg back. And once you feel comfortable, you're going to kind of move your arms up so that you can be elongated and straight. And that way your center of gravity is going down and getting into that stretch so that you can actually get your split. Making sure your legs are straight. And again, that hip is tucked under and that knee is tucked under. So I'm more stretchy and flexible on my left side than I am my right. So this side is a lot more painful for me, a lot harder to stay up. But the more you breathe into the stretch, and the more you stay within the stretch without causing pain or tingling, too much tingling, the easier it is to deepen the stretch and to feel okay and not like it's painful. I've even noticed that if I take a deep breath in, hold my breath at the top, and exhale that like I just did, I deepen into the stretch way more easily. But that is how you do the splits, and those are the 5 stretches that you can utilize in order to get those splits down, be flexible, and be good to your body. So I hope you enjoyed these stretches. Leave a comment saying, if you like this video, if you learned something new, tell me if you've got those splits down, if these stretches helped you. I'd love to know. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great life, and yeah, I'll see you soon.